What's up, guys? Welcome back to Leather Life Podcast. I'm your host, Jordan.
I'm your host, Gio.
And we are in a whole different arena of space, sonically and visually. Just kind of giving a special episode for you guys, a bonus episode. And we felt that this environment matches what we're about to talk about today.
Absolutely.
So what are we getting into today, Gio?
Passion versus purpose.
What would you say is your passion and your purpose?
I would say for me, my passion is poetry. And I would say my purpose is trying to reach people on an emotional level with my poetry. So like poetry is more so like the surface level passion part, but to go deeper into it, like the underlying meaning would be to reach somebody who might need to hear my story.
So your passion and your purpose are kind of in the same vein.
In a way. But I know it can differ from person to person because some people their purpose can be completely different than their passion. Like, for example, somebody's passion can be cooking, cleaning, things of that nature, and their purpose could be helping people out who need help or something like that. So what about you?
I would say my passion is probably anything to do with art. I'm not an artist, but I'm a lover of art. Okay. So film, just multimedia, whatever it has to do with a creative expression. Right. And sometimes poetry is definitely involved, literature is definitely involved. But that's definitely my passion. But my purpose in life is almost on an emotional level is to be happy. That's like, that takes precedence above all else.
Okay.
Which, some people might be like, that's a little gluttonous. It's a gluttonous, but right. I don't know. I just feel like to be happy is the best thing that you can do in life. And that is what I'm trying to achieve. You know what I mean?
I think from my definition of purpose, that's something that you plan to work towards. Mm-hmm. So like every single day you're going to plan to try to achieve this thing. So with yours being happiness, how would it be? Like, how would you strive every single day to achieve that?
Well, it's kind of hard being that we are college students.
Right.
You have only a certain amount of time during the day. And this is something that as a kid, you never would have thought of. Like, you would think like your day is the longest. It's an eternity. You know, I remember elementary school, I'd feel like a day was an eternity. You get what I'm saying? Like, dang, my parents not come pick me up already. But I don't know. Nowadays, it's like so much of my time is taken away from me.
Right.
Either by school, work, and anything that has to do, within that sphere of working, that I have to find the little like moments of happiness inside of that. And eventually I get to a point where those little moments are bigger than the rest of the day, and then eventually the whole day is just filled with happiness,
Right. So what if somebody didn't know what their purpose was in life? How do you think they would go about finding that? Because I know for me, when it comes to my purpose, well, I think I kind of have it easier because my purpose and my passion are kind of hand in hand with each other. So it's kind of like,
yeah. But
for somebody who, let's say their passion is cooking, but they don't know their purpose in life, how would they go about finding that?
Well, you have to evaluate what do you care about in life? You know what I'm saying? Like, what is the thing that is driving you? That's like the essence of your existence. You know what I'm saying? Not to be like existential or anything like that, but it's like what is the thing that makes you want to get up out of the bed? What is the thing that makes you want to go the extra mile, do the extra little bit?
Right.
And it's kind of hard to find because I was like coming out of high school, they're kind of just like, this is your purpose. Your career is your purpose. Or, it's kind of like a predetermined path. Often you can get confused on what your purpose actually is. And I think it's like I was telling you earlier, like those defining moments, those things that kind of reshape what you thought your purpose is. Right. I think those are a lot easier to tell what my purpose is than just like pondering existence. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, so when it comes to like, I guess the difference between your passion and your purpose, because as I said, for me, mine's kind of merged. So for somebody who I guess doesn't know what their purpose is or even what their passion is, how would they kind of try to find a difference between it? Because I know for me, like some days poetry can be my passion, some days poetry can be my purpose. Because I feel like, well, I was called upon to write poetry to be able to go ahead and touch so many different people.
Oh, you think it can be both?
I think so. I think it can be both, but it depends on what the passion is, and it depends on what the purpose is.
I don't know. It's like, but it's like, okay, like with your passion
Right.
can become almost a crutch in a sense, you know? It's like you're
Okay.
leaning on it so heavily, and not to say that purpose can't be a crutch as well,
Right.
but a lot of times like you'll be passionate about something that you probably shouldn't be.
Give me an example.
Like I don't know, things that aren't particularly putting you in a direction for growth, if that makes sense. Like um as I don't want to say like a specific thing and it be
Okay.
like, you know, hey,
Yeah.
um but like things that kind of take you off of the path that you know is going to set you up for success, if that makes sense.
Okay. So, for example, somebody stealing or
Well, I
somebody
mean,
being a robber.
I mean, I guess that's like a more of a, yeah, objectively speaking, society's
Okay.
going to look down upon it.
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't be doing that. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? But yeah, I mean, if someone's like a serial stealer, you know, but I mean, that's something that's just like, it's not helping you in the long run. Eventually, you'll get caught. You know,
Right.
eventually you'll have to, you know, pay for what you've done, and to kind of spur someone and be like, yeah, keep doing it, keep doing it.
Right.
It's not like the best thing, you know. So that's why I feel like sometimes your passion can be a crutch or almost like an obstacle in a sense. You know what I mean?
I disagree, and I'll tell you why I disagree. Because, well, this is from my perspective.
Yeah.
With poetry, for me, as I said in previous episodes, poetry for me is my place of solace. It's my safe haven. It's a thing where I can just freely be myself with no external source of judgment. When it comes to that, if I know every single day, if I write this poem and I know, let's say if I write a poem on anxiety or if I write a poem on heartbreak or something, I know if I put that out, it's gonna touch. I was about to say millions. I'm not that popular yet. It's gonna touch, a
Just
great
wait on
number.
it.
Yeah, it's gonna touch a great number of people. If I know that every single day that anything I write is gonna have such a heavy impact on somebody's emotional well-being, I don't think that can necessarily trickle over into being a purpose, if that makes sense. I don't know if that makes sense. So like that's my passion. Like that's something that like I get up out of bed and I look forward to doing that.
Yeah.
But I don't in certain situations I don't think that can be considered my purpose, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. So
Well, it's like, I guess it's like, what is like your purpose something that is more like self-fulfilling rather than like selfless. You get what I'm saying?
okay.
So like at the same time, you're doing the poetry because it's like a way to, you know, well, I'm guessing like almost like a therapeutic type of
Right,
thing.
yeah.
But at the same time, like someone can read that and be like, oh my God, I relate to that so much. And it's like almost more of a selfless thing for you to put that out there rather than just to keep it to yourself.
Right.
You know?
So I think that kind of does, relate back to your passion can be your purpose as well.
In that, well, yeah, I would say in your sense, but it can't, I don't think it applies to everything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so it's just really all just based on perspective and how you look at it.
Yeah.
Because if you look at, for example, with me or poetry, it's kind of like goes hand in hand. But if you look at somebody whose passion is completely different from their purpose, they can't like coexist together. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, do you think like your passion can move to your purpose and vice versa? Like your purpose can move to a passion?
No, and I'll say that because I think with your purpose, it's more so the figurative, not the figurative, like the metaphorical meaning of your passion and the metaphorical depth of your passion. Because, for example, somebody could, like, their passion can be like family and like really building like a strong family dynamic background. But their purpose can be like trying to, I guess, instill that into other people, or trying to form or try to recreate that bond with other people, whether that be joining a sorority, joining a fraternity, joining a club or something where you have multiple people that you have a heavy influence on.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
I don't know. I feel like there's like certain things that happen within your life that make you reevaluate what your purpose is. And I guess, well, before we get to that, do you think purpose is absolute? Like that is, you find your purpose and that is it. There's no changing from that. There's no deviation from that. That is Geo.
No, I do believe your purpose can change depending on the situation that you're placed in. Mm-hmm. Because you can go through life saying that your purpose is one thing, but then there can be either a traumatic experience or a very great experience that happens to you that makes you, I guess, realize and have like a mental awakening to make you think, well, this is not what I was called to do. I know my purpose is this now. So I don't think it can be absolute. I think if you look at it, look at it in the sense of, if this is like one thing like you are like a die-hard thing for, mm-hmm. and if some traumatic thing or some great thing comes along and kind of interferes with that, and that's still being like your purpose, then I think that's absolute.
Yeah.
So
I definitely feel like your purpose can be redirected somewhere else, you know. Okay. And that's where I was like, can your purpose move to a passion? Because right. Let's just say I'm into something and like well, I would hope not, but like I have a car crash or something, and like makes me reevaluate my whole life.
Right.
And I'm sitting there on the bed and I'm just like, oh, well, this one thing where I was kind of just putting this off, putting it in a box. Well, no, I gave a specific example. I'm studying finance. You think I want to sit there and do finance for the rest of my life? Not to say finance is a bad thing, but I don't want to sit there and do that for the rest of my life. Okay. You know, I know, and I'm not going to sit there and be like, that's my purpose either. Okay. You know what I'm saying? I'm passionate about it. Mm-hmm. But, you know, someone who kind of put something off in a box was like, this is a passion. I really like it, mm-hmm. but this is my purpose. And they have a defining event right. that totally shifts the two. Like, well, no, I could have died. This is something that I want to do for the rest of my life. This is right. something that I want to get up every day and do, you know. Mm. It's something that I feel is going to help me or help others in right. that sense. You know, that passion can move to a purpose, and that purpose can move to a passion.
I understand what you're saying. But on the other side, would that really be considered your purpose if something can alter it that easily?
I guess it just depends on the gravity right. of the issue. Okay. You know, if it's like, and not just like, purpose is not something to be held lightly, right. but there are things that, you know, are just, or have the same weight. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So like a car crash could make me reevaluate everything, right. you know, and obviously there's a passion of mine that may kind of like combat that, you know what I'm saying? It, like go against what I thought my purpose is.
Right.
And I think sometimes you got to be okay with that, you know?
Okay, so with that being said, which one do you think is more directly linked to an emotion then? Because let's say, okay, well, God forbid, somebody gets into a car accident and that shifts their whole entire thought process on what their purpose is. Would that necessarily be connected to an emotion? And how do you, I guess, differentiate between that?
I don't know. I mean, like what emotions, like, is there any emotion involved in your purpose? Like,
me personally, yes. So, okay, with poetry, I'm emotionally connected to the words that I write. Mm-hmm. Like, I know for me, I write the word, like, I don't write the words. I write poetry, one, of course, for myself, so it's kind of therapeutic for me. Mm-hmm. And I also write it with the intent that this is going to get published somewhere, it's going to get put out in the world somewhere that can potentially help somebody else who's going through the same thing or who have went through the same thing and haven't healed from it. When it comes to that, when you're looking at it in the lens of how does it emotionally affect me, I know for me, as I said, this is my perspective, my opinion. I know for me, if let's say, God forbid, I write with my left hand. God forbid I broke my left hand, and that means I can't write anymore. Then
You write with your left hand?
Yeah, I'm a lefty.
We're gonna look past that.
Oh my God.
Okay.
But if I write with my left hand and God forbid I break my left hand, I can't write anymore.
Yeah.
So I know for me, that's going to take an emotional toll on me.
Yeah.
That I can't express my emotions how I used to.
Yeah.
So I'll say that's kind of it for me, but it can differ for other people based on your passion and your purpose.
Yeah. I definitely think emotion is linked to both. I think with mine, it's just a little different because happiness is the driving force behind my purpose. Right. And I think that you can put X, Y, Z into that box. If this makes me happy, then that's my purpose. You know what I'm saying? Okay. But also I feel like with passion, because passion, like the essence of the word is more directly linked to emotion.
Right.
I would say that word serves a bigger purpose. Or a bigger purpose. Yeah. A bigger purpose with passion. You get what I'm saying? Like because it's just something that it's almost cathartic. You know, it's something that is. I hesitate to use the word addictive, but it can be. Okay. You know.
So you're saying so let me try to understand this. So you're saying for you, your purpose is to be happy, and anything that is in that box that makes you happy, that's your purpose. So let's say, for example,
oh my God.
let's say if you like throwing rocks at windows.
See, you just picked the most absurd thing.
But that's the example though.
Okay.
All right,
we'll run with it.
So it's like, let's say you like throwing rocks at windows and breaking glass and whatnot. Is that your purpose? It's all the way how you word it.
Well, based on how I set it up, I kind of walked myself into that one. Mm-hmm. But I think it goes back to the gravity thing that I was talking about, the weight that is behind that. Okay. That is not something. When I say happiness, it's like it is a holistic thing. It's not something that is in the immediate present, if that makes sense. It's something that is like a longevity type thing. Right. So if it's something that I can see myself doing and it makes me happy for the rest of my life, then that's what I want to do. And personally, I haven't found anything out there that has done that. Has made me felt that, and I'm kind of jealous of that you do have something, you know. But it's just like, and like one thing comes to mind when I start to think about it. Where do you draw the line between passion and purpose?
I think it depends on what it is, because I know for me, I can't really draw a line anywhere because it's kind of interlinked with each other. Mm-hmm. But I feel like if you are necessarily going too hard for your passion to the point where it's not really a passion, you're just kind of just doing it and it has like a negative toll on you, I feel like that's when you can draw the line. Yeah. But for somebody like me, who's my purpose and my passion kind of linked together, it's kind of hard to draw the line somewhere. And that's not to say that my purpose can change a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now. But as of right now, writing poetry is my passion. My purpose, touching people on an emotional level.
Well, okay. Well, you said something there, though. Okay. So it's like is purpose like this ever-changing thing? You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how people say, like, your life is like a book, like next chapter type of thing. Is purpose something that is constantly changing? And if so, is that a good thing? Because objectively speaking, I feel like society just kind of like tells you what your purpose should be, and it confuses it for a passion. Because if like you're passionate about writing poetry, but it wasn't your purpose,
Right.
society's gonna be like, Gio, keep putting out books, keep doing that. That's what you should be doing. That is your purpose in life.
Right.
And some people kind of eat that up. They're like, yeah, oh, well, I guess that is my purpose.
And then that touches back on my point. Like if society tells me like, okay, you have to put out so many books. If I go ahead and do that, the passion side of that is going to come out because I'm not going to feel passionate anymore. I'm just going to be doing it because somebody else is telling me to do it. But I don't know. I just think when it comes to your passion and your purpose and necessarily like, I guess trying to find that for yourself and not letting any outside things kind of distract you from that. I feel like that is kind of hard for somebody who hasn't gone through an experience or gone through something that pushed them into their purpose or pushed them into their passion. Because I know for me, I started writing poetry, I think back in 2014.
Yeah.
Before that, I did not like writing. I mean, well, let me take that back. Because I was really good with like the penmanship and making sure everything was like kind of neat and stuff like that.
Oh, so you just had good handwriting?
Yeah, I did.
Oh my God.
But when it came to like actually like writing poetry, writing stories in poetry form, I did not know what that was past 2014.
Yeah.
And you know, I went through an experience that you know, took an emotional thing out of me, and it forced me to find an outlet to release all of that emotion, and that's where poetry came into place. And then that became my passion because now that's my way of expressing myself because I never had any other outlet to do so.
Yeah.
And now with me being kind of, I wouldn't say I'm seasoned in that because I've been writing poetry fully for like, let's say 5 or 6 years or so. When it came to like it transforming into my purpose, it's when I put out my book. And I know that like from the testimonials that people have said, like, I really love this poem. This poem has touched me on an emotional level. That's what made me realize like, okay, this is my passion. This is what I'm called to do.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So it's like, well, like we talked about like something that like redefines your purpose. But like if we're looking at the formula in order to create a purpose,
Right.
is there like so would you say there's like a catalyst behind it? Like there has to be a catalyst in order to define what that is?
Yes, because you don't just wake up and say, well, you know, today is Tuesday. I'm going to go for a jog.
Yeah.
And then my passion is going to be a track star.
Yeah.
That's just not realistic. That's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Now, let's say if you're running from a dog or for some crazy example, but you had to run really fast. Mm-hmm. From that, you might feel like, okay, well, now my passion is to be a track star. My passion is to, you know, compete in the Olympics. Yeah. Compete in something like that.
For running from a dog. I
Yeah.
get it. Okay.
So things like that, I feel like there are different things and situations that you go through in your life where it serves as a catalyst for it serves as something for you to step into your purpose or step into your passion.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, I asked you because you have one. Okay. I don't. You get what I'm saying? Not to say like I haven't had stuff happen in my life. My life's not boring.
Right.
You know? My life's not boring, but I haven't had something that was like this. I'm on the path that I need to take.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Mm. So it's interesting hearing it from your perspective, having that thing that you know, caused you to get there. You know?
As I said, my purpose can change a year from now, 2 years from now, 10 years from now.
Yeah.
As of right now, the headspace that I'm in, I don't think my passion would change. Mm-hmm. Now, of course, life is unpredictable. Things can happen. Let's say tomorrow I wake up, I don't feel like writing poetry anymore. Yeah. I can automatically stop that. But for where I'm at right now, I don't see my passion changing or my purpose changing. Now, it could change based on, let's say, my book goes to #1 bestseller or something like that. Then my purpose is going to be like, okay, well, now I really need to sit in my purpose now because like this is what I'm called to do. But, yeah.
So like, okay, so what would you say to like, what is it, general education majors? Is that what we call them? Like the people that haven't like chosen a major? Undecided.
Undecided, yeah.
Undecided. So what would you tell all these undecided majors across the United States? What would you tell them?
When it comes to finding their purpose and their passion? I would say first you have to understand what purpose and passion is first, and don't try to confuse the two. I would say for me, my definition of passion is something that you can do for the rest of your life without getting paid. That, for me, is what a passion is. It's something that you can wake up and, you know, if you go ahead and start writing this, or if you go ahead and start doing this thing or saying this thing, then, you know, you'll be fine for the rest of your life. Your purpose, I feel like, is the underlying meaning and the deeper, not spiritual, the deeper thing behind it. Your purpose could be reaching people on an emotional level. Your purpose can be touching somebody. Let's say if you went to, that sounded very wrong. let's say if you went to a poetry slam, for example, and you have somebody in the audience who, went through a very traumatic experience and they don't know what you're going to come up and say. When you go up and say, or spit a poem that's, talking about this type of thing, and they feel that, it's like, whoa, like, I felt that.
Yeah.
Like, that's, you just spoke what I lived through. So I think that when it comes to your purpose, you might feel like, okay, well, now my purpose is to touch somebody else the same way I was touched before. Not like that. But yeah. What about you?
You said it very eloquently. I would probably say, don't be mad if you don't know what your purpose is.
Yeah.
It's okay to have as many passions as you want. There's no quota once you need to meet. Your purpose will come eventually. At least I'm hoping for that. But it will come, and it's not something to stress yourself out about.
Yeah.
It's not something that you need to know right now. Our audience is pretty young. We're young. We're young guys. So it's not something that you need to know right now. Just give it time. Allow yourself to experience things. Allow yourself to be open to new ideas. I think that's a great way to understand, hey, what is my purpose in life?
Right. Yeah. And I'll say, just to kind of wrap up, just to kind of piggyback off what you said, when it comes to, not knowing your purpose and not knowing your passion, that is perfectly fine. Like, as I said, there are going to be situations where you're going to be pushed into your purpose and pushed into your passion. So don't let society or social media try to dictate what you should and shouldn't be doing. Don't let them say, well, okay, well, if you like this, then you're wrong. If you like this, then you're right. Your passion is solely you. That is what you want to do. You're not getting graded on it. It's not for anybody else. It's for you. Your purpose is for you. So whenever the time that comes, it's going to come. That'll be fine. It can come tomorrow. It can come a year from now. It can come when you're 80 years old. Passion and purpose is limitless. Wait.
Limitless?
Yeah, that. Passion and purpose is limitless, ageless, and timeless. It doesn't matter.
I like that.
So, yeah.
That's a great way to end it.
Yeah. That does my little...
That is all I had.
Yeah.
Thank you guys for tuning in, and that does it for this very special bonus episode of the Letter to Life podcast. We would like to thank Department Chair Dr. Dana Gibson, WCUG Faculty Advisor Dr. Bruce Skeets.
That is not his last name. Well, we're just going to give you this because I don't know what you got going on today, but yeah.
My bad. Dr. Bruce Skeets, I'm sorry, as well as the staff of WCUG for helping airing this show. Special thank you to the film crew today. Thank you to Charisma Newman, our director and producer, Sho Irakawa, our audio engineer, Raina Thompson, our Steadicam operator, and Lewis Myers, our director of photography. You can listen to our show and more online by searching for our call letters, WCUG. I'm Jordan.
And I'm Gio.
And you've been listening to Letter to Life podcast.
They've been watching the Letter to Life podcast now.
You've been watching the Letter to Life podcast. Thank you.
No problem.